Well, this week, Bank of America announced it will no longer lend money to companies that manufacture what it calls assault weapons for civilian use. That move comes in the wake of Citigroup's announcement it won't work with retailers unless they bar gun sales to people under 21. News accounts describe these as victories for gun control, and they are. But they're not victories for America. Even if you hate guns and you hate gun owners, even if you want to repeal the Second Amendment entirely, you should not be celebrating this development. You should be worried. It is a threat to you and the country, and here's why. Bank of America is the second largest American bank by assets. A lot of nice people work there. It's huge. It holds more than 10% of all bank deposits in America. The company is big enough that if it aligned with other companies and took direction from progressive groups, as it is in this case, it could make sweeping changes to America without even a single vote being cast. This is a change. It used to be that political activists lobbied lawmakers in Congress when they wanted something changed. They gave money. Those donations were recorded. The rest of us could see it happen. That's happening less and less. Now, they lobby big companies, and the lobbying is done in secret. There's no transparency at all. You might not even know it's happening, and yet it can affect your life immensely, as much as any federal law. Today, it's gun makers. You might be celebrating that. But what if tomorrow it's someone you agree with, or anyone who holds ideas that our leaders find threatening? Pro-life, are you? Opposed to immigration? Suspicious of Wall Street? Corporate America isn't comfortable with those views. So suddenly, I don't know, you can't get a car loan or a mortgage or fill in the blank. A version of this is actually already happening in China on a very large scale. Citizens there are rated on the basis of their obedience to the prevailing orthodoxy. Those who disagree are punished in the marketplace. This is significant because our corporate elites love China. It's a model for them. There's no messy democracy to contend with, and people get rich. In China, corporate power is the same as political power. Ideologues and companies work together, and ordinary people obey because they have no choice. Suddenly, America is moving in that direction. It's ominous. Bank of America ought to stick to banking. It does a good job at that, and it's safer for everybody when they stay in their lane. Antoine Seawright is founder and CEO of Blueprint Strategy and a gun control supporter, and he joins us tonight. Antoine, thanks for coming on. So,
thanks, Tucker, for having me. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. So I understand that you agree with the aims of this. Progressive groups apply pressure to corporate America and people get in line or they're punished. I get that you like the outcome. But can you see that democracy dies a little bit when this is how we solve our political differences? Why, if you want to change gun laws, wouldn't you, in full view of the rest of the country, go to Congress and make your case? But you're not doing that, are you?
Well, let me tell you what I agree with. What I agree with is what majority of this country agree with, and that is the fact that we need to do something about this issue of guns in this country to prevent another mass shooting from happening. I agree with 75% or somewhere north of that agree with. And look, I commend Bank of America.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want to be clear. Those numbers don't mean anything. Something should be done.
Tucker, they may not mean anything.
I agree with that. Okay, but there's no national movement to get Bank of America or Citibank to punish people for violating liberal orthodoxy on guns. There just isn't. This is the result of lobbying from left-wing groups.
Tucker, this is not about the left or the right. This is about common sense. This is about common sense gun reform measures. Look, if Washington, D.C., dysfunctional city, does not step up to the plate and do what needs to be done in this country, I commend corporations for having a corporate responsibility to do things in which the government will not do.
So,
look,
in other words, democracy takes too long. No, I understand. Look, you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet, whatever it takes. Will you be as comfortable when corporate... No, let me ask you this. Hold on. I want to take what you just said and extend it into the future. When companies decide that, I don't know, pick a group, Black Lives Matter, has incited riots and said racist things, which it has, all of a sudden, if you're affiliated with Black Lives Matter, you like a Facebook post by Black Lives Matter, you can't get a car loan, because why would we abet this kind of crap? How will you feel about that?
Well, I would feel, keep in mind, Tucker, there's been a period of history in this country where corporations and businesses have denied and done similar things to certain groups of people who live in this country. So we've been through it before. But I learned to take, Tucker, I've learned to take battles one fight at a time. And guess what? You, as a private citizen, have the right to not shop with Bank of America, not use them at the bank.
The left lecturing me on the free market.
Tucker,
I love this. Yeah.
Tucker, let me give you a thought to consider, and I'm sure you've heard this hymn before. We can't look to government to solve all of our problems. Therefore, I commend the private sector for stepping up to the plate,
using the AEI songbook against me. It's very clever. Of course, we both know you don't believe a word of it. This is purely transactional. You get what you want.
I believe
whatever
it in this
means
case,
necessary.
Tucker. Why can't you agree with me?
America to make me obey, that's totally cool with you. But if it whipped around and bit you in the butt, you'd be totally against it, wouldn't you?
Tucker, why can't you agree with me that it takes the private sector and government to get things done sometimes in this country? Why can't you agree with that
Where
fact?
did you get these talking points? Were you an intern for Paul Ryan at one point? I mean, I guess what's so Orwellian about this? You don't mean a single word
what I
you're
stand
saying.
for is common sense gun reform measures that make sense, and I commend the private sector
just for fun.
stepping up to the plate
Try
to do
to
it.
utter a sentence that is straightforward and actually means what it sounds like. Let's take all of the propaganda, all the can't out of this, and just say what we mean. Well, what you mean clearly is whatever we need to do to make people obey, including using banks or whatever instrument, we're happy to do because the ends justify the means. If you just say that, you know what? I will genuflect before you in gratitude for your honesty. Will you just say that?
Tucker, bless your heart, and I know you want to put things in my mouth to make something sound a certain way, but that's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is I commend corporations like Bank of America and others who have stepped up to the plate and who are willing to do what lawmakers in Washington, D.C. and across the country are not willing to do.
You and the Chinese government, I can see that. Antoine, thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you.
Thank you, Tucker.